Welcome to our weekly Q&A show where we answer submitted questions live on YouTube on Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Well, welcome to the show. This is our Tuesday show where we answer questions about anything that gets submitted to us. We get questions submitted by email and Instagram and all kinds of sources, and we do our best to respond to them. But the best way to have your question answers is to go to whitewaterguidebook.com. Normally, I have Steve and Aaron, Dougie help, but right now it might just be me today. And just letting you all know, I am incredibly insecure about doing the show by myself. This is just me in a room by myself talking to a camera, and it's something I'm trying to practice and get better at. So if I stumble and seem awkward, it's because I am, but it's a skill I'm working on, and I appreciate all of you sticking with me, being supportive and watching. So with that intro, we'll get started, and I think Aaron might join, but we'll see if he does or not. I have some things to ask Aaron about separately. And the first question is about Grand Canyon 18-foot boats. Do you know enough about the 18-foot SOTAR and 18-foot NRS used by a lot of rental outfitters to comment on the differences between the two? I'm used to PCV rafts, and we have a trip coming up in this October, November this year. We can choose between those two if we offer 18-foot boats. Can also take the 18.5-foot Azra from NRS with an added 5-bay and cooler. So I own both 18-foot boat, or I have owned 18-foot, and I actually own one more SOTAR 18-foot boat, but I have owned 18-foot SOTARs, and I do own 18-foot NRS boats. And so I do know a little bit about the Grand Canyon, so I can comment on those. And I think the big, and you say you've used PCV rafts, I think you mean PVC rafts. PVC rafts, in my opinion, are the lowest quality rafts. And so everything is better than a PVC raft, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I not mean to bad-mouthing anybody. I'm just, in my experience, PVC rafts are the lowest quality. The SOTAR is a urethane-based fabric, and so it's going to be stiffer. And I think in my experience, because the fabric is a little stronger, it's not likely to tear. So the odds of doing a repair are really low. But a repair on a SOTAR, if it's a big repair, like a couple feet, it's a really difficult repair. Like repairing urethane in the field is very hard. So it's not as likely to tear, but if it does, it's harder unless you can use tear aid. And tear aid is a great solution. It's easy. So I would consider that. The hypo, but the one thing about it being stiff, the urethane boat, is it's more likely to flip, in my opinion. So because a urethane boat doesn't really twist, and so when it rides up on a wave, it goes all at once. Where a urethane boat, an NRS boat, is a urethane boat. And so a urethane boat will twist in a wave and be less likely to flip. A little more likely to tear, but hypalon repair isn't super difficult. And so I think, I'd be happy with either. I just did a canyon trip with a SOTAR boat, loved it. Super happy with it. But if I had an NRS boat, I'd be happy too. The 18.5-foot Azra, I saw those when I was down there. They have less, if I remember right, they're diminishing tube boats, which gives you more internal space, which is really cool. But I don't like the diminishing tubes myself. I think it makes it harder to do certain things. I like having volume of tube up in front. And so I'm sure they're fine. I think sometimes commercial outfitters put less tube in the front, or have lower diameter tube in the front, the diminishing tubes, so people get splashed more. So it's less effective, but really good for the customer. So I think you can't go wrong with either boat. They're just different for repair, different for flippability. And again, the SOTAR, because it's stiff, it's a little more likely to flip, but I think the stiffness helps it run the rapids a little more too. So it is a trade-off. You should be happy with any. The 18.5-foot Azra boat would be sweet too. I'm not a fan of diminishing tubes. And yeah, when you diminish the tubes, you have more internal space in the boat. So yeah, you can have an added bay. That's just, a little advantage. Kid Kelly, definitely cheapest boats. I bought a China boat, but it works. Yeah, boats made in China are typically PVC. So, usually if you make a boat in the US, the manufacturers are generally using high-end things like urethane, Wing, SOTAR. Moravia just takes a PVC boat, covers in urethane. I think NRS makes their boats in Mexico, which is like kind of the US, I think. And they're glued, I believe. I can't remember, but they're, I own some. They're fine. They're adequate. High Side makes theirs overseas and ships them here. They're made of, they're similar to the NRS boats, but most of the PVC boats are made in China. They're just manufactured over there, put together there, and shipped over. And PVC, in my experience, the boats are heavier. They are what they are, and at around the 8 to 9 year mark, somewhere in the 8 to something year mark, they start falling apart. It's just the nature of PVC. That's just my opinion and my experience. I'm not trying to bring anybody down here. That's just what I've seen in the PVC boats I've made. Maybe there's leaps and bounds in PVC boat technology in the past few years. So maybe I'm misspeaking, but that's just my experience. So, all right, next question. Do you think the upper section of the middle fork will be runnable? Saw a YouTube video walking from Boundary to Velvet Falls. The damage looked to be very severe. I have one more question too. Don't buy a glued PVC boat, but the newer welded ones shouldn't fall apart so quickly. They are a pain to roll though. Huh, interesting. Yeah, yeah. There's glued versus welded. A lot of opinions out there about them. So on the middle fork, first of all, what's up, Aaron?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I just answered a Grand Canyon question without you.
Yeah, wait, you had to put it first, didn't you?
It was the first one that came in. I didn't put anything anywhere. I did a chronological order of when we received them. I'm going to ask you the question real fast. You have a very, very quick answer.
Yeah,
on the Grand Canyon, 18-foot NRS, 18-foot Sotar, or an Azura 18-foot NRS? Which boat would you want the most? Which one did you prefer?
I don't understand the 18.
Hypalon versus Sotar.
Yeah, the Azura
on
NRS.
The Grand Canyon. It's diminishing tube, has more interior space.
Okay, it's talking about the Azura one. I've used the Azura boat's a huge boat. You're used to PVC rafts.
Quick, hey, we're not going to revisit this. Give me the quick answer. First of all, Hypalon or urethane.
I'm gonna say I don't think it matters that much. First of all, for most of what you're doing, I think what I would be more concerned about is how new the boats are. I would take the newest raft possible because then you're not having to top it off as often. So I would be more focused on which company has the newer rafts. If you could take one of the Azura NRS ones. Yeah, the 5-bay with the cooler. I mean, if you don't have many people and it's nice, you have two. If you have two decks up front, that's really nice for sleeping with the 5-bay. That's a really nice sleeping platform in the front of your boat. So I'd say the Azura 18.5. It's a big boat, but I mean they're all big boats. I've run all of them. I think they all run kind of like pigs. The Sotar a little less so, but they're all just kind of big boats. And I mean. Yeah, like I said, I just want one that I don't have to top off a lot. Why aren't we talking about the Moravia? Because the Moravia is my favorite because the Moravia doesn't have a pressure relief valve in the floor. And so you don't get the sand in your pressure relief valve, so it's not a problem on trips. So my favorite is the Moravia. That's my personal preference.
Are there people that rent the Moravias? I think that's a commercial boat. I don't think that's a thing you can rent.
I don't know. Azura only had a couple of them, but that was my favorite boat because it didn't have a pressure relief valve in the floor. So that was my go-to. Other than that, then my second favorite was taking the old Avons because they were a little smaller, more pointy, and they pop through the waves better. They run a little bit more like I would call it like a dory. And yeah, the Sotars are pretty flat around the front, and so are the NRSs. I'd say the NRS probably got a little better shape than the Sotars from what I remember.
I like the flat in the front personally. I don't like pointy, mostly for loading and unloading at camp. The pointier and more rocker there is, the harder it is to load and unload everything.
That's a good point.
For me, the shape I'll figure out.
And actually, rapids. Yeah, and I mean, how much stuff are you pulling out of your boat? But I would say the 5-bay is pretty sick. I would go with the 5-bay. Especially if you're there with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and then you got a nice little sleeping pad for the two of you. You got a lot of space to lounge on the front. You can have a lot of weight down below. That's a good scene. Yeah, I'd probably go with that honestly. And whatever, they're all heavy boats. So yeah,
I'm gonna move on because we've already spent the first 10 minutes on this one question. And we get a few more. Hey, Aaron, by the way, if we get done with this, we have time. I want to do a members only show if you have time and go over that footage from the thing we did on the wind the other day.
We'll see timing. Okay.
Okay.
We'll see what
If
time
we power
do.
through the questions, I'm trying to get through these so we can do a quick members only show today. So I don't know. I'm not Nostradamus on this one. It either will or it won't. If you applied for a Middle Fork permit and you are unwilling to fly your gear into Indian, you've done a disservice to somebody else. So, like, the thing about the Middle Fork is,
say that again. Say that again.
If you applied for a Middle Fork permit and you're unwilling to fly your gear into Indian Creek, knowing there's potential landslides, you've done a disservice to somebody else who could have got that permit. Like, I think I keep getting this question, well, is the upper section be rentable? I don't know. I don't know the answer. I can't predict the future. I'd say 50-50 at this point. I have no idea. But like if you got a permit and then you sit on it to wait to find out if it's open, and then you cancel it, when it's not rentable, that's not really fair to somebody else who would have gone regardless and could have planned the trip, invited their family and friends. I don't know. I get frustrated with people who get permits and then turn them in.
It's like outfitters who don't use their launches. They're just wasting user days on the river.
Well, outfitters that don't use their launches, the Middle Fork specifically, we turn them in. And I mean, we use ours, but the ones we don't use, we turn in. But I think a lot of people get a permit hoping the conditions are perfect. And then when they're not, they cancel. Like, you all know that, like, I mean, most people know there's a chance we have to fly everything to Indian. And so I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It looked bad. High water could wash that out. Part of it already washed out in the fall, but then a new landslide came. My best guess is that it washes out and then midsummer clogs up again. So, I mean, honestly, like, I think high water will bring all that stuff out. We'll be like, oh, it's awesome, it's clear. And then another storm will come, wash a different creek out, and we'll have the same problem again. Hopefully,
I'm gonna say this: I wouldn't want to be a Middle Fork outfitter trying to sell their permit right now.
So, you don't want to be somebody selling their company right now, is what you're saying.
Yep. So I wouldn't want to be selling my company right now.
I mean,
there's a lot of unknowns.
I mean, the thing about running the Middle Fork.
Go ahead.
I mean, this is the thing. I think people who are both guides, all guides, outfitters, private boaters should know. The Middle Fork is in the second largest wilderness in the lower 48, the largest forested wilderness in the lower 48. This is a large area that it's wilderness. It's left up to Mother Nature. This isn't a handcrafted place. It's not Disneyland out there. Like, it's a real wild place.
Even though it feels like Disneyland, it's not.
It doesn't feel like Disneyland. I know you like to portray it that way. It is, and I know there's some ranches along the way and things, and it makes it seem like maybe it's not completely wild, but it is a wild place.
And you're launching with 250 of your favorite people every day.
20
that's
on average. No, there's 7 launches a day. They average like 20, 25 people. That doesn't multiply to
7 times 25 is how many then?
175. So you were 50%. You were 100% over the amount. But I just want to say, like,
100. No, it was not 100%. I said 250. That's not 100%.
You said 350. I thought you said 350. Yeah, I think you said 350. We can record it. I can reverse it later.
I said 250.
We'll reverse it later and find out.
Is 7 the maximum number of people that can launch?
7's the maximum number of launches.
Okay.
Outfitters can go to 30 people, including guides. Yep, they don't always. But
so the outfitters go to 30. It's over 200.
But privates are usually like in the teens.
Okay, the outfitters can go to 30 or over 30.
No, 30 max, and they're not always at 30.
How many outfitters can? What's the maximum number?
There's generally 3 outfitters, 4 privates launching.
Sometimes there's 4 outfitters that launch a day.
Sometimes there's 2. On average, there's 3 a day.
4 times 3 is 120 right there, and then you've got 3 more privates that can be up to 25 eighths. That's 195. So I'm not that far off.
I mean, July 11th, yes.
Almost 200.
August 20th, no.
Almost 200.
June
and then
7th, no.
Then tell me, can the Forest Service launch more people to going down the river?
I don't know how the Forest Service works.
Do they have exceptions?
I'm not sure how the Forest Service works. But getting back to the question, you're entering a natural environment, and that's part of the beauty of the Middle Fork. Like, that really is. But you have to understand, it's not a place to just take casually. There could be wood in the river. There could be a new storm. There could be another log jam. We talk about the fishing being great, but it could wash out and there could be brown water. You could be dealing with fires. Like, it's a natural place, and it should be treated as such. So
That's a good point.
I think that's important. So
yeah, we got a lot of comments. So we don't know.
I know how you love. I know how you love
like
the
comments. I'd rather read the comments than hear you talk, Zach.
All right, here we go. Let's try to see if we can get to some of these comments. Tips on getting a hypalon raft down the ramp at Boundary Creek. We run hypalon rafts, and we just take them down. Anything to be careful of to avoid damaging the raft before trips get going. We take no precautions. I mean, don't send them down at full speed. People talk about the bottom, the friction causing heat. I think that's more likely with the urethane rafts. I've heard of this happening with SOTARs. We run hypalons. Arda runs hypalons. We just
don't. Yeah, the hypalon in particular, fine, but just don't go fast. Take your time. I think that's one of the things we do is go down slowly. Take your time. Walk it down. That's the best thing you can do is just not go really fast and not force it, and just take your time and go slow. Right. Then you're not going to put as much heat because you're dissipating the heat.
Yeah, but I've seen them go fast and they're fine too. Like, and we weight ours down. We put most of our stuff in them and lower them down heavy. So
if you want to grease the rails a little, that helps.
Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like I think private boaters have a lot of problems in commercial. I don't know, something in the air. Like, I can't explain why people have problems at Boundary Creek. I've heard of several people who have melted their tubes. It's just nothing I've ever even worried about or had a problem with. I've launched a lot of boats down that ramp.
The other thing too is I don't think that outfitters top off their rafts at the top the way some of the private boaters do. Do you think if you topped your boat really hard,
that could be it?
Decrease the surface area?
Or just because it's so hard, it's like on one spot. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's on the bottom of it versus more spread out or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason we don't top it off is just because we want to get our boats down the ramp as fast as we can to make room for other people. The people up there while we're standing behind them.
Yeah. You don't want to be those people. Totally.
You don't want to be those people. Maybe it could be that. Maybe that's good advice. Andrew, don't top off your boat. That's from Aaron. Renting from Mo. Those are the options. Mo and Kopi.
Yep.
Yeah, they're good options. They're both great boats. Both great boats. More likely to damage the boats on rocks in the ramp. If you're concerned, just keep the boat super light and carry your gear down separately. That's an option.
Yeah.
I mean, it certainly is a bummer to get to the Middle Fork, drive all the way there, go down the ramp, and put a hole in your boat, right? That's definitely a bummer.
Particularly when there can be, 100 boats in the eddy there?
100. Aaron, are the cops coming to get you?
Sounds like it. Yeah, back. This is big city living. This is like New York City on an island. So, let's see how many rafts could be in there at one time. What, 20? You say the private boaters, if every private boat brought their own raft, which I feel like they do, and you had like
if
4 of those.
3 commercials, that's like 7 boats each, 21 boats, and then you could have 4 privates. The average private group is probably 20. That's a large for a private group, but let's just say 80 people. If there were 80 different people bringing their own boats, which is a lot of people. There's a lot of boats on private trips these days.
So you could have 100 boats in the eddy.
Theoretically, you could have 100. I don't think it's ever happened, but it's possible.
I think you go for it this summer. If you're on a specific day, try to set the world record for most boats in the Boundary Creek eddy.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much the fires are going to affect around salmon in the Middle Fork because they weren't on the Middle Fork. They might affect the takeout roads. In 2005, I think, after some big fires down there that happened in 2003, we had blowouts across the roads, and so you'd get to take out and you couldn't get out, and they'd get cleared. I think that's my biggest worry is like side creeks blowing down into the main salmon, but they're not going to affect the Middle Fork. From the ones from last year, the ones from the previous year are going to affect the first 20 miles. I saw the video. Yeah, I've seen different videos of the upper section. I've talked to people that have been there. I mean, it's Mother Nature. It happens. Looks pretty. It could be worse. The Pistol Creek Lodge Jam was worse in 2006. That was bad. Thomas, thanks for becoming a member. Those of you that become members, you support the show. You give us a little bit of money to update Aaron's. Aaron doesn't get any money yet. Someday he will. You give me money, but I buy things like this River Station throw bag to test out and give you guys advice on. So I've been investing the money back in the show to buy different things to like share with all of you. and upgrade our technology when we can. Aaron, I talked about this last episode a bit, but I think you missed that. This is where I think should replace your. Look at this floppy bag. Look how sad this bag is.
Mm-hmm.
It's floppy. Look how not sad this bag is.
It looks like it'd be harder to stuff that bag.
It's not, actually.
It looks like a nice bag. I'm going to say that it has mesh on it. And it's got mesh around the bottom. And the mesh.
This has mesh too, bro.
I know. I don't like the mesh.
I have to say this fabric right here, I like a lot more. It's not hard to stuff. Actually, I wish personally. See, there's plenty of room in the top. I can't stuff another throw bag in it like I can with this one. This is ridiculous.
No, that's so you can stuff your safety gear in the top, Zach.
Whatever. I wish it was actually a little bit tighter personally because I like a tightly packed throw bag. But Aaron, I think I bought this throw bag because I think it's better for you than for this one.
Is it got the same rope in it?
It doesn't, and I knew you were gonna ask that question.
And I don't like the bottom. You can't grab the rope on the bottom easily.
You want to grab this?
Yeah, I like to be able to grab the knot on the bottom.
That's silly. This is the future, Aaron. This is the future. Like not a big flappy knot at the bottom. You're such a hater. It's so weird to me.
Well, no, I know I'm a lover. I just love the NRS.
You're a lover of this antiquated thing.
The NRS throwback.
I really thought you would like this one. This is a really.
It does look like a nice throwback, but I bet it costs more. It doesn't have.
It costs less. Here, I because I knew
it costs less because it's got a junkier rope.
Oh my god. Okay.
Let's keep going. More comments.
Hey,
we got more comments.
We'll get to them. I'll get to precious comments in a minute. $99 for this one.
Are you? How much are you sponsored by them?
I'm not. I bought this full price. I used Gear Garage.
Are you sure? I bet you're like one of those people, one of the crypto people. You're like Matt Damon with crypto, but you are with this throw bag. Yeah.
No. So $160 versus $99. Supporting a small business in Colorado, supporting the empire that NRS has become. Although NRS is an employee-owned company, so you're making the employees little do re mi.
So you're making all the owners rich. You're making owners rich.
This one is probably a river guide in Colorado who's just in between trips. So
$100. That's a reasonable cost.
Yeah,
It's
good. Great rope.
I like the different colors. It looks well done. Just no mesh. Why the mesh? Why so much mesh?
Everybody thinks you need mesh to make the rope.
I know. It's kind of funny. They're supposed to be the experts on throw bags, and they don't realize it doesn't matter.
The people who make throw bags are rarely the experts on throw bags. They're just copying other people who made throw bags. Nobody's really innovated for a while.
But whenever somebody decides to make them, like when you decide to make them, it's because you're like, I don't like the throw bags out there. I'm gonna make a better one.
I gotta tell you, when I made mine, which I think I have the one right here. This is the one that I made. I showed people a bunch of prototypes, and everybody was like, "You got to have mesh so it dries." And I was like, "That's stupid." And I realized I wouldn't sell them because people would say, "I don't want that because there's no mesh." So I found this like really heavy duty mesh that doesn't really work. I mean, I guess it would dry a little bit just to show the effect of mesh, but it made the throwbacks cost more because it's more sewing. I didn't want one.
That's the thing is. More seams means more places to tear out, more stuff to go bad.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm pretty jazzed on that. Anyway, thank you, Thomas, for being a member because you allow us to buy gear like this and experiment with it and share our thoughts with all of you. Let's move on.
More comment. Yeah.
Wouldn't they price? Yeah, we do price our trips for the worst.
Some do, some charge you more. Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, some companies when you book with them, if you fly in as a guest, we just cover the cost. We're not going to charge you extra. Some are like, hey, you owe us $150. So some charge that. But when you fly all your gear in to Indian, it's more expensive, but you do save the shuttle. You save the bus in to put in. The guides get a little bit more time off. It's more expensive for sure to fly everything into Indian. But it's actually not as expensive as you think. It's not as painful. So we've built in to the price having to fly a certain number of our trips in every year. For sure. If we have to fly all of our trips in, that would be painful. For sure. You'll see me doing a lot more Gear Garage to pay the bills if that happens. For sure. Okay, guys, stop bickering. Hey,
Just
Chris, how did you know that that's what that meant?
I don't usually, but I could tell it was just kidding.
That's cool, Aaron. Chris, that's what we do. This show is not education.
But he said just kidding. He was joking.
Oh,
Zach.
okay.
Zach, it was a joke.
Okay.
Stop bickering.
Sorry.
Just kidding. He doesn't
Okay.
need an explanation.
Hey.
He likes when we bicker a little bit, I think.
Does he?
I think so. I think that's what.
Anybody
that's
won the
how much it
lottery? I struck out, waiting for.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone winning any lotteries yet. I've heard everyone not winning. Salt, Idaho.
Hey,
nothing.
Did you apply for anything, Aaron?
Yeah, I applied for a Rogue. I'm trying to take my family on the road.
Did you get
this
it?
Summer. We don't. I think we find out like today or sometime soon. I don't know the exact day. I've got other stuff going on.
If you don't get your permit, I'll give you a 2% discount to come with us.
2%.
2%. That's how much I like you.
Wow. Yeah, I can pay to work your trip. That's great.
Oh no, you're not working the trip.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, speaking of things, I bought this today for the show.
What
it's
is
a
it?
Mila melon watermelon water.
Oh, good. Because you can't just drink regular water.
Electrolytes.
This right here is environmentally friendly, Zach. It's called water. You drink it. You don't have to like truck it around all across the West.
Ooh, I guess
you're helping someone have a job, so that's good. You're providing jobs.
Oh, dude, it's watermelon water in a can with electrolytes and antioxidants. So this is something I can bring on a trip instead of a beer and be really happy with. Wow, that is good.
All right,
man. Okay, so let's see. If people win the lottery, they're generally pretty quiet about it. You don't want to rub it in people's faces, like, "Hey, I got a Subway," and you also want to like,
"Oh yeah."
You just want to let a few people know, like, hey, I got a Subway permit. You want to come? As soon as you announce it, everybody's going to be bugging you to jump on your trip. So I think people are generally pretty quiet about it. But I'd be curious to see if somebody writes a comment in here that they got a permit. How many people plunk their boats in the dirt and gravel at the top of Banjo Creek ramp and then scoot them along? Maybe dirt and gravel. I mean, we do that.
We drag ours every trip too. Yeah, seem fine. Mm-hmm. It's like little ball bearings.
I hate it when the guys do it. I'm like, guys, don't do that. But like when I'm not there, they're doing it.
Yeah, but then I'll say too, the Hypalon I think does better stuff. Like I don't know, maybe it doesn't. I feel like
I think the Hypalon's better at urethane than dragging on stuff.
Yeah, the urethane's like better for like getting punctured, but the urethane like I noticed like when I was working on the Tuolumne, the Cherry Creek boats, the Marty's Sotars. Mm-hmm. They would get these little holes on top of the floor. You could tell from little rocks in people's shoes, and we wouldn't get those in the Hypalon boats in the same way.
Yeah. Boundary Creek to Velvet Falls is the boatman's dream. Peter, I would say a boat person's dream. One of the best sections in the West. Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It is a great section of river.
The whole river's awesome. I mean,
you might as well just fly out at Indian and be done with it.
You should hike at a Velvet and be like, hey, I got the Velvet.
Yeah, I'm done.
And
get your permit. And everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just gonna run down to Velvet and then I'm gonna hike back out.
Yeah.
Do you need a permit to do that, or can you just run down to Velvet and hike out if you wanted? Do you need a permit to run that stretch?
Yes, you need a permit to do anything below Boundary Creek. Technically below Dagger Falls.
But I thought like you could like if I were to do like Big Creek and if I just paddle out in the day,
that's different. That is specifically mentioned in actually back in the day. If you did Big Creek, you could not paddle in Middle Fork. They made an exception for people that do Big Creek. They can go out in a day. That doesn't mean you can do a day trip on the Middle Fork anywhere. Like you can't do Rapid River and then paddle that out down to the Beer and anything like that. Mm-hmm. Let's go back. The Whitewater Designs reverse taper bag. I mean, this is a really difficult website to.
You guys don't ask Zach to do stuff with technology.
No, I have to download a catalog on a PDF. I mean, I'm already bored. Do they sell retail or is this all for wholesale people? Here we go. Voted #1 best bag as determined by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. What? Whoa.
That is awesome.
Hey, that reminds me. We should, Aaron, have our own awards for gear. Like,
oh god, yes.
give Gear Garage awards, and the
Yeah,
people
yeah,
on the
yeah,
websites can say voted number 1 by Gear Garage. So it looks fine. I mean, it's reverse taper. I can barely
It's a throwback. It's a throwback.
Barely tell anything here. No,
It's
there's
like
different.
It's like a roll of toilet paper.
It's not.
It's not. Yes,
It's
it
not.
is. They all
It's
work
not.
pretty darn well, and everyone has their little preferences.
No, not when you're Aaron Cavagnolo and you throw the throwbacks all the time. Everybody needs a throwback that matches their own style, their strength.
Exactly, like toilet
practice
paper.
with it.
Like toilet.
So
paper.
like this thing isn't for everybody. It's barely for anybody. Like, and Aaron, imagine how good.
I bet that's one of the top selling
you use
throwbacks. I bet that's one of the top selling.
That doesn't
throwbacks.
make it great.
Well, if it's one of the top selling, it's got to be pretty good if everyone wants to buy it.
Well, everybody buys it because it's on. It's
Ooh, look at that
NRS.com.
reverse taper. That looks weird.
I don't like the.
I'm gonna say this. It's another gimmick. I don't think it really matters that much.
What's the gimmick?
The reverse taper.
Oh, I'm all about reverse taper. I'm all about taper. When there's less, Aaron, when there's less volume here and more volume up top, it comes out better. It just does. It's a fact. Write it down. Write it down, Aaron. It's a fact.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, let's get back to Fishy's comments. Shots fired. I'm not sure what they're referring to there. We won. What? Dude, is he messing with us? 3 permits?
What the heck?
My buddy won a salt permit. That's cool. You should offer a no permit pity discount for a couple days in your rowing schools. I mean, my rowing schools are
offer that 2% off. Offer 2% off.
Aaron,
Woo!
no permit pity discount. We actually just opened up a new rowing school because they're all full, and so it's interesting. Mark Rivers, I'll give you a deal because you're Mark. Hey, that's Mark Rivers, comma PT, comma DPT, comma badass. Oh, sweet. That'd be cool. Yeah. Awesome. Pity discount. 0 permits, but assault in May and June 26th, Middle Fork invite. Nice. Man, yeah. I think some people get super lucky in these things. Yeah, there you go, Aaron. Aaron's cheap. This just explains Aaron.
It's all the same. I'm just saying it all works. And everyone has their preferences, and everyone makes a big deal about it. But in a pinch, you'll use whatever's there. You're not gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna use that." It's like, yeah, okay.
Why
Zach, I think
have a
you
mediocre
should be able
throwback?
to use different throwbacks. I think it's good to be trained up with yours, but also I think you need to be able to use other people's throwbacks too.
I agree.
So you should practice it with different ones.
Oh, I agree for sure. But why not have a better one? Like, why have the worst one?
No, I'm not saying the worst. I'm just saying the taper.
This is the worst one.
Really matters.
Why have the worst one? Name one worse than this. Exactly.
The ones with the NRS non-pro throwback. That's definitely worse.
The only thing worse than the NRS Pro is the NRS Rescue, is what you're saying.
No, that's definitely worse. That's number 1 on the list. And then I would say number 2 is the NRS Mini regular is not as good, and their hip throwback is not as good, and just anyone else that doesn't have as good a rope. So,
I mean, okay, this one has 3,200. No, sorry, this one has a 5,000 braking strength. This one has 3,200. Do I really need the extra 2,000 pounds of braking strength?
When you put a knot in it, you lose a third of those strengths.
Okay, whatever.
So, yeah.
Do I need? I'm not using throwbacks for Z rigs. It's really rare. And if I did, this one will do in a pinch for like a paddle boat. Neither one of these is going to get a gear boat off. All right, I don't want to argue with any more about this. We've wasted way too much of people's time.
Let's get back to bedrock.
Yeah, definitely team whatever's there, but got that Whitewater's design an auction for the Dolores River Advocates. Turned out to be a great bag. Cool. Awesome. Glad you like it.
Thanks. Yeah, that's cool to hear.
It's 100% better than this. So you're already 3 steps ahead.
Except for the rope.
Okay, good point. Have you watched any of the videos of Bedrock at 4,000 CFS or heard from anyone who's run it that low? It looks like the left is the move when it gets that low.
I haven't seen any Bedrock video that low. I think we'll have to look for some. If you guys have any good Bedrock videos from 4,000, send them to us and we'll take a look at them.
Aaron, I talked to a few Grand Canyon outfitters yesterday, and they mentioned something about when the Grand Canyon gets down to 5,000, they can't really do 14-day trips anymore. It's just not enough time. So like
Yeah, talk to OU.
the length of trips is going to get to go to 16 days for commercial trips.
They're going to need to make them longer. But what's funny is OU all reruns trips that are 2 days shorter, and so it's like these outfitters that say they can't do it. OU does it.
Oh, it can be done.
OU already does it. Like they're doing 12 days, and I forget what they're doing now, but they do shorter ones. So the thing is, you just have to be efficient, and you can't be like, you got to be on it. You got to be good guides. You got to know how to use the current, and like, yeah, I think like, guess what? You're gonna have to start getting people who can guide rafts, like who are good at it. You know, like you with that. I'm serious. So it's like, there's some people down there and they talk about the paddle boats, like how hard it is to keep up in the paddle boats. Like, and yes, I'm Mr. Aaron Campbell, but when I'm in the paddle boat, I can be first most of the time. It's really easy to beat all the oar boats when you're in a paddle boat. It's not that hard. You've got 6 people paddling. And so I think there's yeah, I think it's going to be harder. But then also when they make it longer, then that means they need to bring more food and more gear. And they're already having problems with running out of ice. That means they're going to need to bring more toilets. That means they're just going to have a lot more stuff to bring. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to be this compounding issue. It's not going to be a simple solution. Making them longer is just going to make it messier.
On a 14-day commercial trip, is there a layover day?
I've laid over. Yeah, I've done it. Not regularly on a 14. But you can.
I think what you're saying, what I'm hearing you saying, and what kind of answers this question is, as the water drops, we've talked about this before. Actually, we got called elitist and naive and douchey for comments already for the Grand Canyon at low water. But I think when we talked about this in the past, when the water drops, which is going to do, it's going to require a higher level of skill of both private boaters and commercial boaters.
Yep, agreed.
And we're already seeing at these lower flows where people are having problems at bedrock, that lower level of skill causing problems. Yeah. And it's going to cause more problems, longer days in the water, more arguments because of the long days. People are tired and dehydrated. More rapids will be difficult. And so people will need a higher level of skill.
What I think is cool is if the commercial outfitters starting going to longer trips, that means they only have a total number of user days they can use per year. So they're going to have less launches. So it's going to spread people out a little more along the river, and you're not, like what's 14 to 16 days? That's 2 more days. So what percent increase? What is that, like?
17%.
7%.
17. It's like 17.
Wait, from 14 to 16.
2. Yeah.
1 out of 7. 1 out of 7 is like, oh yeah, 1 out of 10 is 10. Yeah. Sorry. But anyways, so you're talking about that many percent less launches on the oar trips.
If there's fewer commercial launches, does that mean more private launches in the Grand Canyon?
No.
Or just fewer people are going to be on the canyon?
Because the commercial launches don't use all their launch dates right now. They have more launch dates than they use, but they are limited on the total number of people they can bring down per year.
People or user days? People are
user days. Total number of user days per day.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and so what's going to happen is if the trips get longer, that means we're going to have 15% less launches on the river. That means less trips going down, and that means like, they're going to be spending more time below lava. They're going to be spending more time in this section. So you're not going to have as many people at those busy spots all of a sudden because they're going to have less trips on the water. So it's kind of good in a way. It's going to decrease the footprint in some ways of the people. And then the bigger problem, though, is they're going to need more camps down there. And a lot of camps have gotten overgrown. So they're going to need more camps because there's going to be the people are going to be spending more nights down there on the river. So
we'll move on. All right. Love your show. Long-time watcher, first-time asker. I need a recommendation for a new seat for my cataract. I have the NRS high back and like having the high back for bracing while in the nar. I'm interested in getting a new seat that folds down and reserving the NRS high back for passengers. I ordered a Temperus high back, but the bolt pattern doesn't fit my seat mounts. I'm going to return it. I would love a recommendation for a new seat, ideally folding and with the high back that has the same bolt pattern as the NRS high back 7. Yeah.
So can I ask a question here? Why do you want to get a folding if you like the high back? And if the front one's not folding, why do you want? What's the advantage of the folding? Why?
There's a few. I'm Googling this chair right now, though, because I think I know which one this is. Oh, yeah, this is pretty cool. So
does it have armrests on it?
No, I mean, you can just go to a tractor store and buy like pretty cool tractor seats. The ones that don't fold, they're for stacking capos, for example, it makes it tricky, or stacking rafts. Or if it folds
Okay.
down on a trailer, they're easier to stack. The NRS high back, for running the Narnar, I'm not a big fan. It's just like the low back one, but higher. It's slippery. I'll show you this. It's something like this. This is a lot of padding. It kind of holds you in better. I don't have this one, but I have one similar. Maybe they have different boat. Maybe they have the one I have in here somewhere. Man, they have a lot of seats here. Let's check out this.
Why not use a slant board?
I have something. I'll get to that in a second. I have something more like this. And so it actually kind of like cut. Instead of being a flat thing where you can like fall off the sides easily, it kind of cups your back. So it does keep you locked in a little bit better. For running hard whitewater, I have a seat like this that I really like. And the problem is the bolt patterns don't match. And so you have to get an adapter plate. And nobody else makes a bolt pattern the same as NRS seats that I know of. So like Dave Nissen, when he made his Mad Catter frames, he would have the bolts set a certain way. He would recommend the seat, but you have to buy a separate bolt adapter plate. So unfortunately, there's no good answer here.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that guy who's making those new attachments for the frames, he's making his own attachments for frames. If he made another seat adapter that went for the more common seats than the non-NRS ones, he might make some money off of that too.
Well, he's retired. He doesn't make anything anymore.
Wait, who are we
that's the
talking about?
problem.
No. The guy who's making the new NRS clips for the
Oh yeah, the guy who makes these things.
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name again? Bettermounts.com.
Yeah,
That'd be a good product.
That'd be a good one too. Yeah.
But those of you that know Mad Catter, he made the best capo frames, in my opinion. Here's a photo of one right here. And so you can see that seat there. That actually might have been that's not my boat. That seat is a high back. It's really nice for like class 5. I like it for class 5. I use the low back now because.
Oh, we just lost Zach. That's funny. Anyways, yeah. So Zach loves that high back seat. And here it looks like he might be coming back on pretty quick. We'll add him to the stream. Hey, Zach, how you doing? We just lost you.
That's the wrong button. Now I have to open everything again. Share screen. I pressed the back button on this software, not on the website. But I like this seat a lot. It's just you have to get a special adapter even for. Here's another one. Another photo. To adapt it to his frames. And so there's no easy answer here. Unfortunately. Let's see if I can pull up the question. Yeah, there we go. I think you have to either find somebody that'll make an adapter or go with the NRS high back or go with the NRS low. I go with the low back now again because I don't want the high back for how difficult it is to transport. And I'm doing fine with the low back too. Maybe somebody else has answers. Oh man, there's so many comments.
So why not go with a slant board?
Oh, sorry. Well, because nobody makes slant board frames for caps anywhere. It's just one thing. Let's go back. That's a good question, Aaron. One answer is most people don't want to sit on a piece of wood. Like
you can tape a pad to it and it's fine.
Yeah.
We used to do that Sear Mac and it's super comfy. And even without it, like I guided you. I mean, I'm sitting in a wood chair right now. Like
Aaron, I can sit on wood.
I've just got a really nice strong butt, but
so what I think you're
deal.
saying, Aaron, is that America's getting soft. I think I'm hearing you say that. I disagree, but I'm hearing you say
I'm not
America's
saying
getting soft.
that per se. You're saying that.
No, I think you said that. But one of the issues is with these frames. So like let me see, this is a decent, the foot bars for like the hard whitewater stuff. And I'm not talking about the Food because that's high, but for low volume stuff.
But the foot bar is up higher, the tunnel.
Yeah, we want the tunnel frames. And so the high foot bar, you can't do a slant board.
Yeah.
And so
and that's a good point. Yep.
if I was running the Foo or even like Cherry Creek, I'd want a slant board. But for like the wind and low water, for sure, I want a tunnel frame. For creaky type stuff, and then you kind of just.
Why would you want a slant board for Cherry Creek? In the cap.
Because I don't think you need a high bar. And I've only ever rode Cherry Creek with a slant board, so that just I know it works.
Because it's nice, you can wrap your leg around it. I feel like it gives you
a
lot of security, and you can move around, slide up and down, change your angle. But that makes sense. Like if you're going over stuff, if you're like straddling rocks, totally makes sense. All right,
it's nice to have. It's nice to have that, yeah. So
are we getting behind on comments?
We are. I don't know what does Gaffney numerically assess how rad you can be on a river. Who's Gaffney? I'm the best boater. That's cool. I don't know what we're talking about,
cool.
Kid Kelly.
Good job, kid. Yeah.
High back seats get in the way of a waist. Oh, for sure.
Totally agree.
Yep. A slant board. where can you find a good one?
No.
Just talked about this the other day.
Yeah, NRS sells that one, but it's really expensive, like $200. And then
isn't it awful though? I could have sworn we decided it was awful.
I've never used it. Yeah, and they're out of stock right now too.
They are. I mean, we looked at this before, and they were terrible because the bar sits really high, and so it's not the right angle.
Oh, yeah, but Zach, okay, we're gonna hopefully we'll have a big. Should we wait and have a big conversation about the NRS frames a bit? Because I got some questions for you, and I want to talk about that as well as part of the topic. So,
cool. We'll come back to this, but Sean, I just want to say I used to make slant board frames. Noel, who's on here, bought one. I went down to my welder shop. I had them weld a bunch to spec. I made the parts specifically that go in for the oar towers. I made the wood. I hand did it all, and I sold them. They're like $500 or something. But shipping was awful, and so you couldn't ship them. So sometimes I'd drop it off at a bus station to ride in a bus to like California, or it's just you can't ship them. And so I stopped. It's a massive pain to make these things. And I made one for somebody and they returned it. And last thing I would do is deal with a return on a slant board frame. So there's no good place to get one. The NRS ones aren't very good. Aaron, people for years have been trying to make more of them and sell them, but it's just really hard to sell.
And I'm working on a guy. So
yeah, we'll get to that. I'm working on seat mounts with adjust. Oh, cool. Oh, Thomas started on top of it. Nice job. Okay. I don't know what that is, but Heidi, thanks for the advice.
Check it out.
Pavati. Scott Gaffney, famous pro Squallywood. Again, a lot of stuff I don't know what that means. What's Squallywood?
That's Squaw Valley.
It's not Squaw Valley. How dare you?
It's Squall.
No. It's the Palisades, Aaron. You are not woke enough for this show.
What?
You're gonna get Aaron. You're gonna get canceled.
It's not called Squaw Valley anymore.
No, it's the Hey, Aaron, dude, stop. This is a woke show. I don't want to get canceled because you're insensitive.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know they changed the name.
You should have known that. Okay, Aaron, that's the end of our questions. Do you want to talk about frames, or do we want to do a separate live show and look at that video?
I think I want to talk about frames with you because I think everyone could use this talk. Okay. So let's bring up
before we start. Hold on, I'm going to give everybody some background. We're done with the Q&A section. That's all of our questions. Aaron wants to ask me some questions about frames, so we're going to stay on to answer Aaron's questions about frames.
This is my Q&A. Aaron gets the Q&A with Zach. Okay, because Zach talks about the Longhorn all the time. So pull up the Longhorn because I'm thinking about buying a Longhorn.
Yep.
All right.
Longhorn. I gotta find it here. How do I find? I'll go Longhorn frame.
Man.
So I own, I think, like 15 of these now.
That's what you're saying. Okay. Now, a few questions on this.
Yeah.
First of all, like how much space is there between that bottom foot bar and the floor?
It depends on the boat.
In general, what are you noticing? How much?
The right amount.
The right amount.
I mean, we use them in 13-foot boats mostly, and they're pretty close to the floor.
Because NRS says they can make them custom. That bend, they can do it in their shop. Yeah, I was just talking to this. Cool. It costs like $20 to $30 additional. So I was like, oh, cool. Because that was my big problem for the slant board frame is that bar's too high and the slant board, it's sitting too flat.
Yeah.
So you can make it go down deeper. So you can do that, which I was like, wow, that's really cool. So that's my first question. Second, do you need those bars to be as long as they are, the side bars? Do you ever put them all the way out?
Yeah.
Because it seems what you do.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on your height. Are they all 50? Yeah, they're all 50-inch length. I
Yeah, they're all 50.
use almost the whole thing. I mean, I'm 6'2".
Okay.
So I do. The reason we have so many of these frames and we love them is because they're so adjustable. So if we're teaching a class, like somebody 6'2" can get on, use the boat, and then literally with just like undoing 4 bolts, move it back 6 inches, bolt it in, it's ready to go for a different height. So it's really easy to adjust. And I think 50 inches is the right length for a variety of people.
Okay. And then they standard come with the 8-inch towers.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a fan of the 8-inch or the 6-inch towers?
6 inches are too short for most people. I think with that setup, with that seat, the way it everything, 8 inches perfect.
Okay.
No,
but I don't want the seat. That's the seats have the cost. The seat's over $200 of it. I like priced it out.
What?
And the seat, the seat's over $200 of the frame because the seat mount costs $85. The seat costs $160.
Oh, the mount.
So that's
like the seat's $160.
Yeah, $160. Yeah.
Wait, so what you're saying is if you get just the frame and not the seat, it's $425.
What should be around there. Yeah.
I think they're giving you a package.
No, more less than that. Not $425, less than that. It should be $385 because the seat mount and the seat costs together they cost $245.
That's fine, but they're not. You're probably getting a package deal here.
I know. If you subtract $245 from that, that's $400. That's $380. $380.
The seat mount is $85. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. And then the seat's $160. I priced here. I'll share.
But I don't think that if you get it without the seats, I'm just guessing that they subtract off the $245. I think it's a package deal.
Yeah, it is a package deal, but they'll kind of. I got different things from different people because I was like, I don't want the seat, and they're like, well, you can send it back to us or something. I'm like, what? I can send it back to you? So that's what they said, and I was just like,
why don't you want the seat?
Because I don't like seats. I want a slant board because like multiple reasons, but I priced it all out here. On this thing.
You are such a nerd. Oh my God. You and Dougie.
I'll put it
You and Dougie are the worst with spreadsheets.
Yeah. How do I make it bigger? Here we go. Let's make it bigger.
Oh, you got shipping. Aaron, you are so cheap.
Well, you got to count the shipping because like they say they don't charge for shipping, but they charge for shipping on this.
Aaron, your time is worth money too. How about not doing this and just buying it and like use your time to do something useful? Like, I don't know.
Make more money.
Wipe off your sunscreen or I don't know, do something. More Gear Garage episodes. Hey, you know what should happen is NRS should sponsor you and give you a credit for being Aaron Cowie.
Well, because I'm so amazing. I'm talking about this. But then the other interesting thing is then you can just get custom stuff cut from them anyway. So you can just get custom pieces, whatever length you want. So that's why I was wondering if I actually wanted 50-inch or wanted them a little shorter, if I'd ever use the full 50 inches.
It's nice. It's nice.
But if you buy the whole setup together, they charge you $75 shipping fee. If you buy the crossbar, sidebars, and foot bars, they charge you $30 per. Because I was like looking at that, just doing it separate because I didn't want the seat and the seat mount. So, yeah, I put it all together.
Are you going to buy their package for the slant board too, or are you going to make your own?
Well, the slant board doesn't come with that package, so I'd probably just make my own slant board, I think. And then, because their slant board doesn't look like it has enough space.
What's this for? Aaron, what's this for?
What's what for?
This frame. Why are you getting it?
Well, if we actually win a launch, here, we'll stop sharing this. If we
for the Rogue.
Yeah, for the Rogue.
This isn't. I mean, it's a great. This is a day trip. Where are you going to put all your stuff? You're just going to tie it in dry bags?
Nah, I don't care. Basically, here's the deal: is we're going to be doing a big road trip because I'm coming to the mainland, so we're going to throw all this stuff and probably borrow a van from my parents or something like that, and we'll have the raft in there and all our stuff in there. So what's nice is that frame breaks down real small, so I can travel with it, and then we get there, we can pump it up and go use it, and then we're going to go out to Idaho and visit people out there, and so I could use it out there too. So it just seems it seems nice. Like I'd like one of those big structured ones that we're talking about building, like the ones that you have, the creek frames, but this seems great for travel. And so I was just looking
Like
into.
you mean when you say the creek frames, the classic slant board made of like, but they're really heavy. They're a little unwieldy. You're not going to put one of those in an airplane.
No, exactly. You're not going to put
ever.
But if I can set this up to do pretty much everything I need it to do, and then what's nice about it, I feel like it's adjustable. So when my kid starts to row, and that's why I want the slant board too. With the kid, I was like, well, the slant board's got more variations. It's gonna be easier for people at different heights to sit on it and use it than the seat. And like they're sitting on the seat, they can't even like touch the. Yeah, and I'm more familiar with slant boards, so I like them. And that's the other reason I'd rather use it. But yeah, so no, that's the purpose of it. But going back to it, so you think the 8-inch is best on these?
Oh, for sure.
And then, what was the other question? Yeah, but you can make the foot bar go down lower.
Okay.
And so I was thinking about making the foot bar go down like a couple inches lower.
I mean, I would want mine to just barely touch the floor, ideally.
Just when it's sitting in the water, yeah, it's just off the floor.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's what I would want.
Yeah,
I just don't want to sit there and take a bazillion measurements and email on the rest of a bazillion things, and it just sounds like a lot of work to do this.
There's a lot of comments, and we should hit some of these because I got some follow up for this.
Okay, all right, let's go back. So we're back on Scott Gaffney, famous pro Squallywood skier. You got points for skiing up to people and announcing you were the best skier on the mountain. That sounds like something we did when we were young, actually. Oh, man, I went skiing this morning, Aaron. A snowboarder ran into me.
That's not surprising. Skiing's a dangerous sport with those snowboarders around.
Yeah.
Always.
What would you say if he ran into me and just bounced off? Like he didn't come full speed, he just came and hit me and bounced off. What would you say to somebody who did that?
I would probably say, hey, kids have been seriously hurt and put in the hospital by behavior like that. You need to control where you're going because that is true.
I said,
teaching skiing, we've had kids get run into by snowboarders.
Yeah, no. I said,
to go to the hospital.
Did I do something I don't know, or are you just out of control? And he just looked at me and then went a different direction. Snowboarders, man. I watched snowboarders stop live twice today. My question for you is: snowboarding still cool?
Not now with the white skis, no. Because you can't traverse with them. They're annoying. It's like the friend who's got the setup and takes forever to put in. Like that's what the snowboard is. It just takes them a long time.
This is how I kind of feel about your slant board talk right now. Like you use slant boards, and so you want a slant board. Just get a seat, Aaron. Like don't wait. Just get the seat.
No.
Like
well, the seat. Also, the seat's $200. I'm like, I don't want to pay that much for something.
Just by the time you make your slant board and your adapters, it's going to be $200. Just get the seat. Like people are snowboarding still because they learn how to do it. They don't know how to ski. They need to change and learn how to ski. The way you need to get a seat.
So if you were to go run Cherry Creek, you would use a seat. No, you'd use a slant board, and that's why I'm doing is I want to be able to use this on Cherry Creek as well.
No, this frame I would not use this frame on Cherry Creek.
Not even for a day with the slant board on it.
No.
Adam has one. Crom has one that he'd use all the time. He has a little one that he uses in a little boat.
An NRS one.
Speaking of which, that's my next follow-up question. What failures do you see happen on these frames when you're using them?
Yeah, that's what I was going to actually. So these things, I mean, the biggest failure, they stay on fine. Everything stays on fine. But these things, if you flip, they'll hit a rock and twist. So like if you flip, these things will twist. Or like I've even seen people like rowing these are not tight and they just slowly turn. And all of a sudden one oar is messed up. So you want these on really tight. And when you do put them on tight, this is one of the old school ones. So the new ones look different. When you put them as tight as you need, it kind of bends the metal a little bit, which is fine, but it just does. But if you flip, a rock's going to hit this and turn it. And then when you go reflip, you have to get your wrench out to get this back tight. And so it's a problem in a flip because you don't just reflip and go, you reflip. And if you have a wrench under PFD, you can then adjust it and get it back where it needs to go and keep going. If you don't have a wrench, you're on a boat with one oar. So that's why I wouldn't use this on Cherry Creek. I'd rather use like a boat that has a more rigidly better attached oar tower. This is great for class 3, 4. I run these in the wind. the wind is marginal, but I make sure they're really tight. If I flip, and when I do run with this frame, I carry I have one right there, but I carry a socket wrench on my PFD a lot, which is just weighting me down when I swim.
Yeah.
But if you reflip,
it's
need
equivalent.
the
It's like the nut driver. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
now
you can bring the little NRS tool that's like a stabbing tool that has like 2 screwdrivers and it's with cold hands it's hard to use. I like to have a socket wrench with a long socket because to get the back one, to get that back screw, you need can you see that? You kind of need a long socket, and so I'll have a not nut driver, but a socket wrench with a long socket, so I can just quickly get on there and fix it. I've seen that happen multiple times.
Okay. What breaks on those frames on the Longhorns?
The seat. I mean, the old seats. These new seats aren't as bad. I haven't seen these new seats break. But I actually have to replace the seats once in a while. It's mostly if you leave them out in the sun all the time. Like if you don't store them indoors. If you store them out in the doors all winter and they're getting rained on, they're getting sun, the seats break. I haven't seen much break on these. We've used them a lot. They're pretty good. But I'm not going to use this in class 5. This is just not something. It's great for what you're saying. Quick frame, adjustable. I think it's a great frame. We teach classes and people show up with their massive. They can only go boating if they have this big frame with their dry box and their cooler, and they have to have 5 bays. If you only have a multi-day frame for everything, this is a great frame to have to just go boarding for the day. And so when people show up for classes with their like massive frame with all the boxes and everything, I'm like, hey, let's leave that in your car. Let's just put this frame on your boat for today so we're not tinkering all day long with stuff. So it's a really nice day frame.
Okay. Next question for you. How do you set up pins and clips on it?
Same.
What do you mean same? Because the pins they sell at NRS are not the pins. They're not the. Which are you have? You have the ones with little balls. You have the little ball ones.
Oh yeah, the ball ones.
But they don't.
The NRS ones don't work.
The NRS doesn't sell that type. They sell the type with the bolt. When I was looking at it, I can't. Theirs all look weird. They never look right. Actually, someone's supposed to send me a picture of that.
Hey, I'll share some video right now. You're gonna love this. Let me see if I can find it. Here's my setup right here with pins and clips from the other day. This is that.
It's got the balls on it, Joe. You've got the balls, right?
Yeah. But I got pins
because if you look at the NRS is. Here, I'll pull it up.
I'll tell you what it reminds me about this frame. We'll see me wrote here in a second. Let's see. You're watching, Aaron? See that back tube?
Yeah, hold on.
See it bend? I mean, I'm a big guy, but when I'm rowing hard, that back tube, it bends a lot. And I wish it was sturdier. See how much it's bending?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a lot bigger than me, though.
Yeah, I'm bigger than most people, so it's probably fine for most people. But I wish there was a thicker bar for the back. I worry that someday it's just gonna break while I'm rowing it.
Okay.
All right, I'll get the comments while you sit there and play.
Pull up.
I have 2 NRS setups. I'm making a board. That's cool. That's cool. I'd say 2 to 6 inches off boat of boat. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. You can't get Clavy clips anymore? Is there a duck at your house? Did you hear? You can't get Clavy clips anymore. They don't know when or if they will find another supplier. So it's NRS clips for Clavy pins. I have a bunch of old clips. Actually, I should sell on riverhardware.com, the sponsor of our show. Huh, that's interesting. I mean, pins and clips are an antiquated thing. I think that, I mean, I'm a fan, but I think so few people use them that I don't even know if we need to make more. I have
Yeah, but
a whole like this. One of these is just full of pins and clips stuff. They're just every time somebody's selling their pins and clips, I buy up their stuff. So I have a supply for a long time.
okay, so this is the here. I'm gonna share this, and then
Another spreadsheet, Aaron.
no, but you can see like this makes no sense to me. This is what they sell on the thing. I'm like, this looks terrible. I don't even understand what's going on. This is what you sell is your pin and clip. Like, no wonder they're not
Aaron,
selling any of them. I think it's like purposely
I
made
thought
poorly.
you were gonna try to get sponsored by NRS. And
Well,
so,
this is ridiculous. This is embarrassing. Like this makes no sense. Like what the hell is what is that? Like it looks like an alien, someone who never rafted put it together or something like that.
hey, Aaron,
Have
did
you
you
ever
hear
seen
that?
someone run down a river and have their pin look like that?
Well, I hope not.
I know.
Hey, I have a question. I'll ask you later. Actually, never mind. Yeah, no, this is awful. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody buy that. You can if you want. Maybe we don't know everything. We could be totally wrong here. That could be the best ever pin and clip, but it looks weird to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you one more.
Okay.
Where is that?
That's interesting, Thomas.
Now this actually
geometry.
This looks better, but it's got the bolt that goes all the way through it, and I don't understand how it works with the bolt going through it and making it work properly. These are terrible stirrups, by the way. These black.
No, this isn't. What they're selling you here are the stirrups, not the.
I know, but this setup looks right. It's weird. They're selling just a stirrup here, but this setup looks right. And I'm like, okay, here this setup looks right, but you're just selling the stirrup.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but then with these, the bolt goes all the way through, and then you put a bolt in the bottom, and I don't understand how it moves right. Yeah.
I don't either. All I know is my pins and clips with the ball on the top work great with these things.
The ball on top is terrible because the ball pops off. You lose the ball.
It does not. Aaron, we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, and how many times have you seen people lose the ball? A lot.
No, it's been a long time because where's my pin? I had it right here. Dude, you just put a lock nut. See that lock nut right there? You put a lock nut right there. It's never a problem. Do you know what a lock or a
do
lock
you still
washer?
check them and do you still tighten them?
Do you know what a lock washer is, Aaron?
Yeah, do you still tighten them?
I do check them at a habit, but it's always tight.
So, can you put that up close again? Let's see the bottom part below your hand.
This part?
There's that little nut halfway down. Okay, yeah, that thing.
This
above
thing?
there. Yeah, right there.
It's not a nut. It's just like part of the pin.
Yeah.
It's like this is part of the pin. This is a washer.
Yeah.
I know ever since I started using lock nuts up here, it hasn't been a problem. And you can get Loctite. Who cares? I'm just used to these. I like them. I check the balls out of habit, but they stay tight.
Was it loose right there?
No. I probably can't even get it undone, to be honest with you. I got it undone, but it was hard.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for your help. I think there's some more comments that I was kind of wanting to address because I looked at some of the comments out there.
The geometry between the seat and the footbar might be more important than the height of the floor. Yeah. If you're doing a slant board,
yeah, but Thomas, I'm gonna say this: the lower my feet in general, the better off I am in terms of for balance. And that's why I want my feet as low as I can and be able to use the bar. And ideally, I like when the frame comes around to the corners, so I can put my feet out wide in the corners too. That's really nice. It gives me more stability.
And these frames aren't ideal. They're not designed for everybody's boat, but they do fit a very wide range of boats. Why I have so many of them is because they're very versatile. It doesn't fit my boat perfectly, but I can switch it between boats from a 14-foot boat to a 13-foot boat to any, it'll work. And so it's versatile. You could just buy the parts individually.
Yeah, the problem is then they charge you $30 for shipping, even if you buy more than one. And so it adds up quick. And so you can, and I might do that actually, Mark, because it's like $3.93, but then they charge you the $30 for maybe you included that plus the shipping. Yeah. So they hammer you. It's like another $100 for the shipping.
Well, it's less. It's CKS. That's funny. Huh.
Nice. Yeah,
Some
West
folks
Water.
complain the bend is too narrow, so can't have a wide foot spread. Aaron, that sounds like you.
Yep.
Lost the audio. Do we come back? Do we have the audio? I hope we do.
And no one else has complained.
Snowboarding is the pins and clips of the snowboard world. Sure, I'm sure it's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, skiers can be reckless too. I just got hit by a snowboarder today, so I'm in a mood. How does a snowboarder introduce themselves? I mean,
That's totally true.
we had a snowboarder with us today he's on the downhill, awesome, no problem. But every traverse, it's like, all right, let's
That's
wait.
what I mean. You're waiting for him, yeah.
Oh, we just opened up a whole can of worms with that. I probably shouldn't say anything. This is pretty fun. That's pretty funny. That's a good one, Sean. I mean, oh man, I was on a lift when somebody like a snowboarder getting on a lift with us today fell down and they stopped the lift for that person. It just, I got.
You probably said, "Oh, sorry, dude."
If the Orr Tower, we probably just lost like 20 subscribers with that comment, Aaron. That was worse than
actually. I think this is the highest number of people I've ever seen us online. We almost have 50. This is like a record.
Yeah.
Just start bagging on snowboarders, and everyone wants to come.
We're not bagging on snowboarders. I'm sharing my experience today, and I'm just wondering, is snowboarding still relevant? Like, you don't like. It doesn't seem to be as cool as it used to be, and that's just my observation. Okay, if the Orr Tower is rigid, the next place it breaks is the Orr Lock. I've seen Orr Locks.
Brian, that's a good point though. Is like if it goes there, like, and I've seen a lot of the pins get bent over time.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I'd way rather in some ways just pull it back up and tighten it back down, and away I go. Versus the pins all cracked over. That used to happen to us all the time on the tournament with our pins. So it's a really good point.
Yeah. There's an in between area though. Like if you flip one of these, the smallest hit is going to bend it, where the Orr Lock will probably survive. So if it's a big hit, no matter what, it's a pain. But there's a lot of hits where I'm like, this Orr Tower shouldn't have bent over. I wish they made these actually. Personally, if I redesign these, I'd have 2 of these things, like 2 pair of them, so there's more friction. And I think the new ones, I don't know. The new one's actually a little better. This is the new one. These ridges help a lot on the new ones.
They got the ridges, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And if you look at
well, if you don't even need 2, Zach, you just have a wider thing. If you just had it wider,
if it was wider and there were 2 just to get it a little tighter, I'd be happier. It's just
you just need it wider on the bottom. You'd have more friction. Yeah.
I worry about if I race with these, if they do bend over, I have to stop and fix them. That's the worry of mine.
Yeah, you don't want to race with those.
No, but
you should get a special frame built just for racing, Zach. Lightweight.
I do have one just for racing, actually.
All right.
For cat boating, but not rafting. I don't have a rafting one.
We're getting behind. Like they just keep
the better mounts that we've looked at has cool ridges inside here. So if he made these, I think he'd do a better job.
How much were the better mounts? How much did those cost?
Thomas is on. He can tell you.
Thomas, how much
they were like $35 or something, $29.95, something like that.
Because the fittings are like 36 for at NRS. Those things are like $36 if you just buy them at NRS.
And these are, I mean, Thomas, this is your chance. Leave a lot of comments. Why these are better, how much they cost, why you should get them. You can buy these from Thomas directly. If he designed these,
where do I get those from Thomas directly? Where do I go?
Bettermounts.com.
Bettermounts.com.
Aaron,
Zach, people don't always. Zach, I know. I'm asking because people may not have listened to the other one. They wouldn't know. They're watching.
Oh, you don't want to know. Somebody else wants to know.
I'm trying to be thoughtful.
That's very thoughtful. But if Thomas made these, I bet he'd do a really, really good job with these too, and could really complete the set.
Well, okay, and then he can make the seat thing. Yeah, everything. Yeah,
you can get stronger, cheaper seats. Oh man, send us a link. I had no idea. It's cool.
Do the seats at Amazon, like, do they connect with that base plate, or do you have to have a different place?
That's the big questions. Have you checked out High Side's frame selection? Highsight has some sweet frames.
Do they? I was just pulling them up. Who makes their frames?
Let me look. Let me Google it and find out. They made some really. Remember, we looked at their cat frame. Were you on that show where we looked at their?
Yeah, I think we were looking. I'm on their site right now. I got distracted, but I was looking before. Yeah, I can't.
You got distracted looking at the comments again instead of paying attention to the show. Frames, coolers, and boxes. I think this company.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they sell Longhorn right there. We Felt is the company, and they make some cool stuff. Although I don't see their really cool capo frame here. Boats.
Yeah, they sell the NRS Longhorn.
Frames, coolers. I mean, I'm there. This is sort of like the other website that we looked at earlier, downstream, downriver, whatever it was, where we can't find stuff. But the We Felt frames.
Yeah, that's true.
This is the guy who makes them. He does some really cool stuff. I'm really impressed with his frames. Raft frames. The 14-pound frame, now we're talking, consists of 5 total pieces. Huh. I don't see those frames, the high-side frames, anywhere.
I think he's just talking about the We Felts.
Okay. Yeah, they make some cool frames. Yeah, Sean, next time you win a members only thing, we'll send you clips as your prize. That's a prize thing. Deary discontinued their pins and clips. Yeah, I mean, oh man. So I hate to. Well, let's just go into this.
Who's GRE? Just downriver.
Downriver. It's so confusing because there's downstream who makes us throw bags, and then downriver equipment based in Colorado that makes stuff as well. Let's see. I want to share with you the questionnaire really quick. We have 189 responses.
Wow.
To the latest questionnaire already, which is amazing. And I've been watching them because the results are really interesting. But if you go down to, let's see if we can find it here. Aaron's breakaway method. Look, Aaron, you got 6 votes, 3.3%, by the way, so far. But 24% say, when we asked, is there ever a situation where Aaron's breakaway method is appropriate? 24% said, yeah, there could ever be a situation. So it's possible.
And then half said no. And what does the rest say?
Probably no clue what this is. Not that I know of. Basically, people that here we go. Never heard of this. Sounds sketchy. Not prepared for the day. Are you conducting a survey or trying to preach? Drift boats, so your bags don't go down with the ship. People don't know what it is. If you're Aaron, yeah. Not sure what that is. Should always rig the flip. I added. Let's see. I added rig the flip as an option here partway through, and rig the flip is now crushing it. I added this like a while ago. Anyway, let's go down to pins and clips. There's a lot of people who are writing nasty comments about some of our questions. I'll have to share with you later. Let me see if I can find the pins and clips question.
It's taking a while. Okay, DRE. Let's maybe we'll go. Yeah, we're still behind on comments. So
are we really?
Yeah.
Basically, from this questionnaire. Here we go. Pins and clips is like 6.7%. So 27% was Orlocks and Orights, which was surprising me because so many people are anti-Orights. I think they're great, but so many people badmouth them. We have 41% spinnies. 41% spinnies. 28%.
What's the purple?
I'm competent in all of them. Which is basically pins and clips people. I would add I'm competent in all of them.
What's
with pins and clips?
What's the yellow?
The yellow's pins and clips.
And
Prolocks has 2 votes. The red is or locks with or rights. But this just tells me that like pins and clips, it's a dying thing. I mean, even Aaron, or not even Aaron, even Steve is into Orlocks right now. And Steve is the reason artists had pins and clips forever. So I think that just says something. I think that the days of pins and clips are coming to an end.
And everyone's going to stop running class 5.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the questionnaire, people don't run that much class 5 either. What do you call? I mean, there's not that many people. Most people are doing class 3. Most people identify as class 4 but run class 3. What do you call a snowboarder? That's not okay. You can replace a lot of stuff in that. Does anyone else row with extra towers and locks? I do.
Do you bring extra towers as well?
On multi-day, yeah. On single day, I don't. Multi-day.
Do you bring in extra when you're running your courses? Do you bring extra of those towers that you have on the Longhorns?
Probably not. We probably should, though. That's a good idea. We've never had a problem with one, but yeah, that's interesting.
I could see someone adjusting and losing the whole thing and just fall in the water, just like, oh crud. So
this is not going to fall in the water. Once you loosen it up, it stays on. You have to take the whole bolt off. Yeah, this is going to stay on, but
okay.
I mean, we on the road trips, instructors have boats as well. So worst case scenario, we just deflate a boat and we still have boats for everybody. But I bring these on if I have these frames on a commercial trip, I would bring these for sure. I like having extra towers.
Yeah, come in.
If you wedge your oar in a rock at say the chutes, they also twist. Well, I wonder what that's referring to. This refers to last week. I think that's a question we had last week is why pins and clips are nice, because the pins and clips, if you wedge it in a rock, it doesn't twist, so it's less likely to twist and then break. Here we go. Yeah. We probably shouldn't get into snowboarders. Oh man, I'll
be right back.
Okay. If you weren't running pins and clips, you wouldn't flip so often and wouldn't have to worry about oar towers moving. I definitely would say I'm more likely to flip with oar locks than pins and clips. I don't flip that often, but I'm around a lot of flips, Todd. I see a lot of flips. So that's where that's from. Better mounts.
What did you say? If you weren't running pins and clips, you wouldn't flip so often?
I think Todd just really likes the spinnies. And so
that's funny is because I've seen way more people have problems with flipping because they're running spinnies and crab an oar or miss a stroke, or they lose their oar than with pins and clips. So Todd, I kind of disagree, but
Better mounts $5 cheaper than NRS. I think Better mounts should raise their prices to match NRS because I think they're better. Yeah. They're called better mounts, so they must be better.
Yeah.
NRS base plate works for most seats, huh? Yeah, Todd, what other seats do they work on?
Yeah,
because I have an adapter on my catboat right now to make my seat work. Exact same tractor seat at Tractor Supply Company. There we go. Is High Side just selling? I think that High Side is selling Wefeld frames. We don't know.
Yeah.
From what I can tell,
they definitely are selling some Wefeld frames. So
they're selling NRS stuff, so they're probably not selling downriver stuff because I think they're competitive. Okay, here we go. So,
what size are the NRS ones? Are they 1.25 or are they 1.5?
So I talked to Thomas the other day about this, and it was really interesting talking about it. He's making the diameter of NRS ones, and which I think is a 1 1/4, but also offering 1 1/2. So if you want a thicker tube, you can get it.
Like you were just talking about how your back tube is bending all the time. You could make
but his idea was he's more worried about the long ones breaking, and I said I don't know. I think I worry more about the cross ones breaking. Yeah, but he's thinking in a raft situation, it seems like that's when those tubes break. But I don't know. But the idea that you could get different size tubes is really cool. And he has somewhere this is 1 1/4 and this is 1 1/2. So you could mix and match. And so I'm not going to speak for him for what he sells, but Thomas, you should tell us everything you're planning on, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. But what I know, Aaron, you want to buy a Longhorn from NRS, but you could talk to Thomas and buy a Thomas stuff. I think he's.
But if Thomas, can you bend the long tubes? And he doesn't sell the tubes; he just sells the
Well, I think he's planning on it. And I don't want to speak for what he does or planning, so I shouldn't say anything. But Thomas, feel free to promote as much as you want, because I think this is innovation. I'm a big fan of innovation. This is probably better. You told me why it's better. I didn't quite take it all in. But these can be made better and smarter. And I think, Thomas is an engineer, so he's making them better.
Yeah, that seems cool.
I said, cool. Thanks for fixing that on us. Whitewater Machine Works frames are really nice, but expensive. Whitewater Machine Works. Have we looked at this before? Whitewater Machine Works. All right, let's see what that is. How do I show this? Oh, cool website. I think we looked at this already.
Have we?
Yeah, because I remember I didn't like this oar tower. Like it looks like it's uses friction as well, which I think is great. It's fine for class, 2 and 3, but I mean 3 and 4 maybe.
Well,
it's because I think there's not welded on. There's like a little connector you just like tighten the screw. That way you can bend them in. It's really nice for bending them in when you're stacking frames and stacking cats. But also those oar towers look pretty tall. But no, that looks cool. They look cool. They look great. Look at that seat mount. It says fits all bolt patterns. That's pretty cool. These look great. These look cool. About products, raft frames. Here we go, Aaron. Small raft frames, or you probably are a large raft frame. Yeah, there's not much information yet. Looks like. Oh. I think more and more people are doing cool stuff, so that's exciting. Okay, here we go. Here's Thomas's things. Half the weight. NRS frames are pretty heavy, I have to say. When people have NRS catboat frames and I help them carry their boat up to the trailer, that's always the heaviest one. Superior shaped U-bolts. So the U-bolt is better. I can't explain why. Better nuts. Those are cool nuts. Stronger materials. Yeah, it costs less. Seems like a win-win.
Sounds good, Thomas.
There we see exactly a double U-bolt oar tower. Wow. Rigged to not fall out. Adjustable size C-mount. Yeah, he's like 5 steps ahead of us. Aaron, I think you should wait for Thomas to get all the stuff done. And if you go to the Rogue this summer, need a frame, just borrow one of mine. I had a bad wipeout and my oar shot across my boat and through my hand and got me. Wait.
The hose clamp.
Oar shot across my boat and through my hand, and my hand got really cut by the hose clamp on my pins and clips.
Yeah, that's why I used to put duct tape over the hose clamps all the way around.
Hose clamps can get sharp.
They are really sharp. I've seen really bad cuts with them too. Yeah.
Yeah. NRS is the 1.25 inch.
Yep, there you go.
Thomas Cook is talking. So Thomas Cook has a company who he's making these mounts. It's called bettermounts.com. It says it on the thing. Better Mounts. Just go to
we
bettermounts.com.
Pulled up everyone else's website. We might as well pull up bettermounts.com as well.
All right, let me go to bettermounts.com. Bettermounts.com. Actually, let's see. How do I add this in? So this is his website. And look, are you looking for strong, functional, lightweight gear? You're in the right place. We found it. And so he's making cool stuff. And he's an engineer, so he actually has experience doing stuff like this. And yeah, I think he's hoping to add more things like the tubing and the oar towers, and maybe someday Aaron can buy a whole frame from him. The only thing, Thomas, Aaron is really cheap. So you're gonna get
super cheap.
You're gonna end up in a
negotiation. My raft is a Sotar that I bought for $700. That's got one outside tube. I mean, come on.
He's so cheap. He's still using this throwback from 1920.
And I didn't buy it. Marty got it for me, but I still love it.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Thomas, I am never going to use these. Can I send it back to you? Or do you want to have a trivia question for some? If you have a trivia question, I will mail these to the winner. But I don't I'm not going to ever put a Bimini on a boat. They're really cool, but they're just going to sit here. I'd rather get them back to you, or if you want to come up with a trivia question people can answer.
That's a great idea.
I'll send them to the winner. Chad, NRS pipe is a specific type of aluminum that doesn't bend, it breaks. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. When I'm sitting on it, it's going to break.
What's weird, Chet, because they bend it themselves. So there's a way that they bend it.
It doesn't bend, it breaks. I mean, aluminum's kind of like that. I mean, aluminum isn't like it's stiff, and when it goes, it fails. Yeah. Like steel. What was that called in engineering class? Elasticity.
Yeah. I know.
There was like the elasticity,
elastic
curve.
Or inelastic. Yeah.
Well, even they taught you that stuff in civil engineering, Aaron. I thought you just learned how to put gravel down and sod.
Well, no, because Zach, we were having steel beams for buildings and stuff like that.
That's true.
And we got to break stuff. We got to break a lot of things.
I thought you just installed sprinkler systems as a civil engineer.
Lots of
concrete. But I think that aluminum, it does that. It has a short elastic region. It just it starts to bend, and that's just a general aluminum thing. And hey, actually, Thomas is an engineer here, so he should probably pipe in. I mean, I study engineering, but
if
I don't remember.
If they heat up the aluminum, would it make it easier for them to bend it?
If you heat up aluminum, it's easier to bend.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I bet you heated it up.
Universal lawn tractor seats fit. That's cool, man. There's there's a store here that sells chainsaws and stuff, and they have really cool seats. I want to put on a cat boat someday. They have they move around. They have armrests. I think it'd be really fun to have. It has a little shock on it. I'm gonna get one of those someday.
Yeah.
Too bad the seat design doesn't utilize two cross members running parallel to one another. Seems like it would greatly reduce any tendency to bend the bar. Yeah, it would take away from how simple it is. I mean, one thing I love about the Longhorn is it's so simple. When you have two bars, it's a lot more bolts you have to adjust to move it and take off. I like the one bar design. They could, if it was a thicker two bar or like a bigger diameter bar, it wouldn't be a problem. And also, if I lost 20 pounds, it wouldn't be a problem either.
Or stop carrying so much gear. Stop wearing so much gear on you. Another reason we haven't.
If I didn't have to have the ratchet in my PFD.
The ratchet, your cool pulleys, and your.
Hey, look, the snowboarder guy still likes us. Hey, snowboarder, hopefully we made up for our comments earlier with this information. I have some cheaper aluminum pipe from cheaper aluminum pipe from an electrician friend that does bend. Huh. That's cool. Bent NRS frame parts are 6063 T6. They're not. Oh, interesting. So the bent ones are a different aluminum.
Wow. That is fascinating.
Todd, man, you deserve a prize, Todd. That you deserve a prize, Todd. If you want to win, I will send you. If you don't have it already, for such great information, you can have this book about the middle fork of the salmon. If you already have it, I'm not going to send it to you. But if you want this, send us your address and we'll mail this to you.
Where do they go, Zach, to send the address?
They go to whitewaterguidebook.com and just do some search. So find our comment page on whitewaterguidebook.com or email Aaron. Next person that wants them on your trivia questions is great. The more options, the better. Might as well be an option. Not everybody needs a Bimini.
What does the Bimini do again? What does it do?
It keeps you out of the sun and the rain.
How does it keep you out of the sun?
It's those those big umbrellas that people put over their boat. It's not even an umbrella. It's basically like being in a car.
Oh, like the things you have on like a motorboat.
But people have them on rafts. You've seen these on rafts,
right?
Yeah.
I know
like in the Grand Canyon. This attaches that to the frame.
Okay.
I just I go rafting so I can be in the sun and the rain. So I'm not going to ever put them on my boat. But people that don't like nature, we'll try to come up with a way you can win this. Oh, here we go. Here's all the information. Better Mounts is 7075 T6, which is twice. Whoa. It's about twice as strong as NRS 6061 T6, which is about twice as strong as aluminum near a weld or annealed aluminum. Aluminum is increasingly hard to bend with heat.
Oh, increasingly hard.
So if
Oh,
you
there we
heat it,
go.
it's harder to bend.
Wow.
With
Yeah,
heat
there you go.
treat,
So you got to get
heat
it
treatment.
colder. So you got to ice it down and then you can bend it. Ah.
I don't think that's the case either. It doesn't bend. I remember aluminum doesn't bend well. Not like steel.
If you buy Thomas's stuff, you can buy 20-foot sticks of the exact same size as NRS for a lot less. Yeah, where do you buy it, Charles? And 25 foot, it's like, yeah,
Shipping's always an issue.
yeah, and shipping. You got to find out, like, is there a local place that sells it, or that has warehouses all over that you can get it? Because getting a 25-foot stick shipped to you is going to be challenging, and then getting one bent is another problem.
Hey, you haven't heard it all. You should have heard me today going off. I was not very happy once that snowboarder ran into me and bounced off. It was pretty funny. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being so cool. Thanks for being cool. Aaron, that's the end of our comments. I think, man, we went an hour and a half today.
Dude, wait, we're up to 51 people. This is more people than we usually get on our Friday show,
Yeah.
which I don't know what that says. This is more interesting. It's a better show.
Yeah, who knows?
It's the time
Well,
of day.
it's becoming that time of year for rafting stuff. Hey, just before we close down, a few announcements. We're not going to have a Friday show. I'm going to be on the water, so we're not going to have a Friday show, unfortunately. Ooh, thoughts on the Air 126 Double D? Do you know what that is, Aaron?
I know. I don't. The Double D. What's that about?
So the way airboats work is
that 12-foot 6-inch. I got that. What's the Double D? Yeah,
that's double diminishing. So R is regular, D is diminishing, D is double diminishing. 126 DD. I didn't even know they made a one. Oh wow! I googled the 126 DD and that's what came up. Let's see. I hate it. I like air. I like 12-foot boats. I mean, if you want my opinion, I'm just gonna say I do not like it.
Why do you not like it?
I just look at all that, how much that diminishes. That's insane.
Oh, it looks like it'll slice through volume stuff better. But it's asymmetric, huh?
Oh yeah, it's like a bullet. But it diminishes in the back too. Is it asymmetric?
It looks asymmetric from there. But maybe it's just a photo.
It's not loading very well right now. I gotta say, I do not like diminishing tube boats, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a complete idiot. I think
the diminishing tube boat runs a lot like sharper. It'll pop through stuff better. Like I think they have their place. I like them. They're not.
But when you pop through stuff, the boat fills with water too.
No, you go over the top of it.
Maybe depends on the stuff. Why don't they run these in Cherry Creek, Aaron?
Because you're trying to slow down. And so you're flat on front. So everything you hit, it stops you and slows you down. So you don't have speed. Those get speed. Those go way faster. They go through drops faster.
It says in the description, the rocker in shape of the bow and stern hits and then climbs over and up and over waves like a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah. I used that Sotar a long time ago, a little 12-foot Sotar that had a lot of rocker, and it was really fast. It got going really fast. And so we were always having to slow it down. It was interesting. Because it had a lot of rocker and it kind of went to a point like that. It was more like a kayak or something. So yeah, no, it'll be fast. I think it'll.
Well, you think the diminishing tube will be faster?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when it comes to a point with the rocker on the front, going over drops and going over waves and stuff like that, yeah. In the flat water, no, but like in rapids, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I really don't like rocker, but people like it. I think it's. I like rocker. I don't like diminishing tubes.
There's less space in the boat for stuff. I mean, with
diminishing tubes,
commercial outfitter, and he's trying to dump as many people and as much weight in there to like maximize things. And that's not going to work.
When you have diminishing tubes, you have more space in the boat because the tubes.
Yeah, but they can carry as much because it depends if you diminish on the inside or the outside.
Well, the length is the same. So that when the tube diameter is smaller, it makes the interior larger. I think diminishing tubes were invented by outfitters that want to shove more people in boats and get them more weight.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
Like it's like, hey, let's take a 14-foot boat and get 8 people in there, and let's get them more wet. So like class 4 feels like class 5. That's my opinion. I'm sure I'm going to get lambasted for that opinion.
Didn't you run a bunch of those? Didn't you run a bunch of them? Isn't that what yours were? They were like
splashed. I've also never used a I've ran.
I'm gonna say I like rocker. I like those. I like the ones that the diminishing tube scene. I think I find them to be fun boats. But I don't think most people, for what they're doing, it's really going to be noticeable, the difference for what you're doing. So
I just bought one of these, the 130R. This thing's awesome. I think this is just like regular size tubes. It's really versatile. It's a good length. You can do a lot of stuff with this, but I'm a big fan of the 130R. So I have one of these coming. But for me, it's like I gave Aaron a hard time for wanting to be on a slant board so much. It's because it's what he's used to. And snowboarders, because they're not learning how to ski. Me not liking diminishing tubes could be the same thing. It could just be me. Like I have a certain way. I've learned a certain way. I can't adjust to diminishing tubes. I just think they're silly, personally. Heat is your freight for bending, but specifically you need to anneal the. Sorry, I'm having a hard time pronouncing this. But this is good practice for me to read stuff out loud. Specifically, you need to anneal the aluminum to remove the temper. Man, these are all words I learned in school.
Yeah, I'm like, man, it's been 30 years since I've heard some of these words. Yeah, see you, boatsmith.
People getting their permits. 51. I'm not sure what that's referring to. Did you ever do a review of your high side? Didn't you get a high side for R2 purposes? I got the mini something where we use in our rowing schools to row, and I've R1'd it. I did some reviews of R1'ing it. It's a cool boat. I love it. That's the review. If you want a nice small boat, the high side's sweet. Okay, maybe we should shut this one down, Aaron. A couple of quick announcements. Just to remind you all of whitewaterguidebook.com under Gear Garage. This is where you can ask us a question if you want to. We also have the best practices questionnaire I'm super excited about. I'm not sharing this stuff right now. Let me go back. So the best practices questionnaire under Gear Garage is this option right here. Please fill it out if you haven't already. This data is really interesting. It's been really fun. If you want to ask us a question, go down to ask us a question, add a comment. That's where you do that there. Todd, if you send me your address, I'll send you the book. We also have some forums that we just had the first person use. If you want to ask us questions in the forums, we'd love that. And Aaron, that's all I have to say. Do you want to shut this one down?
Yeah, so we'll see you next week. Make sure you like, rate, and review. And, of course, subscribe because Zach wants to hit that 10,000 mark. And I'm sure he's a couple closer, hopefully, and hasn't lost people. Zach, thanks for putting all this together. Great questions, everyone. And thanks for all the information about the frames. That was crazy helpful. That was really, it was very interesting.
We spent like a half an hour answering other people's questions and an hour and 10 minutes answering Aaron's question.
I'm a little embarrassed. All right.
You know my favorite part, Aaron, you know my favorite part?
What?